Continuing the trend of talking about media that no one cares about anymore, I've decided to speak about a gripe that I've had with God of War Ragnarok. Let's dive right in. Angrboda. I'm not fond of her. I think we can tell why I don't like her. Can you spot the difference? This one's a teenager. Obviously, at the ripe age of 14, similar to Atreus' age. Now, a quick summary of who Angrboda is in Norse mythology. Known as the Mother of Monsters, she had birthed Fenrir, Hel, and Jormungandr. Yup, the father, you might ask? Loki. Not great for accuracy, but regardless, what is quite interesting is the meaning of her name. Angrboda means the one who brings grief, although her character is not quite fleshed out in Norse mythology. She is simply the Jotunn that mothered more important characters in the overall story. In God of War Ragnarok, the writers took her in a different direction, making her a young teen and quite the benevolent person. Now that's not new to the God of War Norse mythos, or the God of War mythos in general, and personally I have no issue with creative interpretation of any sort of mythos.
Crucify this.
So I can take any story set in any fictional world or with fictional characters from a mythos and consume it on its own merits. It should be mentioned that Angrboda was actually in the 2018 game, in one of the Jotunn shrines, where she is shown breastfeeding, I repeat, breastfeeding Jormungandr. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of reference to time travel in these games, and either way, it's heavily implied that this is the snake that becomes Jormungandr, somehow. That being said, her hair is not quite as dreadlocky as it is in the game, so whatever, semantics. Where the problems I have arise is when it comes to the characterization, knowing her past. So, a quick rundown of God of War Ragnarok's Angrboda. Daughter to Jotunn parents, an unnamed giant as her father and Groa as her mother. She was tasked with what she was destined with according to what her mother saw for her. Groa being a giant with the power of often accurate predictions of the future, well, mostly 99 to 1, she told her daughter what her life holds, and that she has a very important responsibility to the future of the world. With her parents knowing their death and doing nothing to avert their fate, they angered Angrboda's grandmother, Gryla, the closest person you can define as a BBW, and the most awkward boss battle in the game. I mean, hide the cauldron, Jesus Christ. After her parents' death, she assumed the role given to her, fully believing that her life has already been written, and that she's destined to meet Loki, introduce him to a shrine, give him a bag of souls, and that's it. In the meantime, she's spending her days helping to feed her animals, which explicitly mentioned cannot live without her, and works on her paintings according to Groa's shrines. Now, you tell me, if you were 14, with both your parents dead, a grandmother that hates you, animals that need you as a parent more than a friend, dealing with Draugr admittedly on a less frequent basis, but enough to where it's known that they're there, and you need to keep on edge and wipe them out to protect the world you live in, all alone in a forest, with no one to talk to on a daily basis, you would probably have some issues. Add on top of it that you fully believe a person is coming in at an unknown date that you'll have to interact with for a total of 10 minutes at least, after which his story continues and yours ends. That seems like it would add a few issues to the pile. Knowing that you have no role to play in the world after you've briefly interacted with a person who's more important than you. Imagine yourself, right now, knowing that your existence is not necessary for the greater story after a certain point. I think a young mind with little to no social experience with anyone would jump to a few conclusions, mainly that I die soon after so that I won't be able to affect the outcome. Similarly to how her parents died. But we don't have to conclude that she'd assume she'd die, because we have a very clear indication of how she feels about not being important in the greater picture.
My part in all this is over.
You could always come with me.
If I was supposed to fight alongside you, I wouldn't disappear from your damn mural halfway through.
Seriously, her role could have been filled by FedEx and a strongly worded letter included in the package. She's important to Atreus, that's for sure.
Pretty good.
Nah, not my best. I could do better.
Well, I like it.
The difference between a real G and a simp.
But that's not what she cares about. What we know is that she strongly believes she has no greater role in the world she lives in, and that Groa was never wrong. With that in mind, let's see how she's shown to act in the game.
This way.
I'll, take my own path.
Race you across?
What?
Go!
Well, you beat me.
I mean, I already knew the path. It's kind of like cheating. Here, follow me.
Where are we going?
Let me help.
Thanks.
Stop it.
Yeah, kind of inconsistent. Here's how I think she should act in this scenario. Based on the way I see it, and considering her overall personality is a cheerful, happy-go-lucky princess in the woods type, consider this a rewrite of Angrboda's entire section. We have 3 options that I believe are miles better than what we got. Fearful Boda. After Atreus is seen by the wolf, he runs away from him, barking and howling loudly, with the other wolves doing the same in the distance. Atreus, being Atreus, follows it and realizes the wolf is howling a warning to someone cause he speak animal. Atreus finds Angrboda is frantically collecting her things since painting is a big part of her life. After seeing him though, she drops the paints and runs away saying, "No, no, not yet." Now here, we're confused. What do you mean not yet? Atreus asks and chases her down until he corners her or something. Like, make it a whole thing, like where she rides different animals, leads them into some traps that are not lethal but inconvenient and that you can easily overcome. After realizing there's no way out, she bursts into tears, I guess from emotionisms. That's pretty cringe, probably not. And is then attacked by some things and you join together to fight. Afterwards, he asks you why she ran away. She says she can't have her life end yet. Atreus says why would her life end? And she spills the beans about what his future involves. He insists that she sends him there, and we get an expression on her face realizing how her mother predicted he would demand to see his future. And she realizes that she genuinely cannot run away, and reluctantly takes him there, and explains that she is terrified of what comes next. Atreus, being Atreus, then tells her that her story doesn't need to end, that his father doesn't believe in prophecy, and that he would like to join her on a daily task of some sort, blah blah, pretty much the same as the rest of the part. We slowly see who she really is, and she's actually fun, and instead of chasing her, he races her at the end. Boring Boda. Same deal, Atreus walks in. Wolf more calmly leads him to Angrboda, and we get a contrast of her being completely uninterested and unhappy with her surroundings, compared to how excited Atreus was with the world he just visited. She does the things fast, barely talking, and when she talks it's very Raven-esque. "Oh, it's you," she says when he first arrives. "Okay, here we go," and leads him to the shrine. She very dryly explains his future, then he sees his dad die, and she gets mad at him for turning into a wolf, calls him a coward for not accepting his fate, and that it is useless to fight it. Similar dynamic to how Kratos first met Tyr. She then tells him that she needs to go tend to some animals, at which point he changes back and is interested in helping her cause Atreus loves the animals. After helping, he keeps commenting on the beauty around him, and she is slowly realizing how beautiful the world around her is, how much her life is worth living. Afterwards, she resists one last time, but Atreus does a double whammy where he tells her that, "Why are you caring for your animals then if you don't think you have any impact? How many animals did you save? Help survive in your time here?" We see she's realizing how he's right and that she doesn't completely believe that she hates having her life be inconsequential because of the little things that she loves doing every day, chores, despite her fate. And then remembers an animal she failed to rescue, and right on cue, Grandma comes in and she decides that no more will her taking a soul happen again, and Atreus helps her save a wolf, and she's happy for doing so. She thanks Atreus for helping her see that predictions of a greater future is not as important to her as her small yet meaningful events she goes through every day for others. Angrboda. Atreus comes in. Wolf leads him to a trap, where Angrboda jumps from a tree or something and knocks him out. He wakes up being tied to a post and asks her why she would do this. Should be noted, Angrboda needs to look much stronger in this scenario. She says that he shouldn't have come here. He says, "I didn't choose to come here." "Wait, you're a giant just like me." She says, "Oh, I know all about you, Loki." He says, "Well, then you'd know I'm a champion to you. To us." She snaps back, "No, you're not. You are the cause of Ragnarok. Because of you, of your existence, Ragnarok has been prophesized, and so many of my people are dead." He says that's the Aesir, Odin, and I'm trying to stop him. She says, "I've already stopped him. If you're stopped here, there's no reason for Ragnarok to occur." A very childish reading, but she's a kid. He tells her that if she believes those panels so much, why would restraining him stop anything? After some more dialogue about her painting, I suppose, he sees one of the panels where his dad will die and breaks out of his bonds as a wolf and attacks her painting. She tries to restrain him, but he's too strong and pushes her down. She then pleads for her life, considering the animal's well-being, and he reverts, at which point he asks her who needs help, and she says her animals need to be tended or else they'll die. die. Not that she knows what is ailing her animal, and Atreus says he can feel what animals feel, and he wants to help. So they do out of necessity and save some animal's life. And then he tells her about Kratos not caring about fate, and that to give in to fate and to do nothing will only hurt those around you. And she realizes how her endless preparation for Atreus' arrival led to some of her animals getting captured because she was too busy planning and replanning her capture of him. Because if he's a champion, he must be much stronger than her. Basically, Abby, but makes sense. She then regrets her lack of momentary care that she's been showing towards some of her animals and decides to set things right and destroy the cauldron, at which point she feels a lot better and thanks Loki for helping her see the bigger picture outside of her own fear and selfish desires. Now you can tell me if these are shit. I've written them as I was writing the script, not like I've had some overarching ideas for changing Angrboda's encounter beyond changing just her personality. Regardless, I believe that these options fit a character like her way more. Oh, what's that? You wanted me to complain about Angrboda being black? First of all, black people were part of the Norse population, although a minority. Second of all, Angrboda has very little development beyond mentioning her birthing important creatures. Her being white, black, Asian, or Ashkenazi is not off the table. It's not like Thor or Odin or Achilles or Jesus. Thirdly, she's a giant, and unlike gods who are often made in our image, not the other way around, giants have no real stable definition. If Jormungandr is a giant, then so can any living thing be, regardless of its color. And finally, I'm pretty sure she's a shapeshifter, so if she likes to wear blackface, then it's up to her.
You've chosen to live as a black man in America.
I choose this face. I like it.
Also, honestly, the reason I'm saying all this and I did all this video is because I really did like the game, and I found her section to be so poorly made considering how well the writing is. It's unfortunate, but can't always get it right. Alright, bye.